Hello and welcome to today's guest speaker session. I'm Radha Bhattacharya and today I'm being joined by Armani Panton. Hello Armani, lovely to see you.
Hey, how are you? You okay?
Very well, thank you. Now Armani is one of my ex-students from a very long time ago. I'm so glad that you've managed to come on and join us for this, Armani, today. I'm really looking forward to talking to you and catching up.
It's been a while. How are you?
It has. Yeah. So, Armani, before we get into it, let us know what life looks like for you today. Where are you up to? What's going on?
I mean, as of right now, it was only last year that I've actually entered the fatherhood stage. I had two.
Dad.
Yeah, I'm a dad. I had two baby girls, twins, non-identical. Isabella and Rhea. Yeah, Isabella and Rhea. And yeah, I'm loving it at the moment. I'm on a bit of a career break as well at the moment, obviously I've recently just moved from London to where am I? To Dudley. And I'm just in the process of finding out my next career path. So we'll see how that goes.
Wonderful. That's really lovely to hear, Armani. It sounds like you are on a good path at the moment. Well done.
I'm trying.
So what I wanted to do today, Armani, is I wanted to kind of go back and talk a little bit. Obviously, we worked together when we were at an SEMH school in Rutland, didn't we?
Yep.
How long ago was it?
Probably like 10 years ago. Probably like 12 years ago. Probably like 12 years ago now.
Yeah. I was a teacher back then, wasn't I? And I was your teacher.
Yeah, he was my ICT teacher.
Yeah, gosh. That was a long time ago. But obviously you'd been at Wells Lodge before that as well. So I came a little bit after you, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk a little bit about sort of what your journey was like, not just at Wells, but, previous to that and how you got there and, if you've got a diagnosis and how you got that and, what the emotions were of that. So, let's go right back to the beginning, Armani. I'm guessing that the school that we were at was not your first school. You were at school somewhere before that?
Yeah, I was. I went to a school in Northwest London, Harrow. The school was Cedars Primary School. Now it's called Cedars Manor. My experience there was up and down. I'd probably say there's more downs than ups, but overall the experience could have been better. Started off there when I was probably in nursery, all the way up to year 5. I'd probably say from nursery to year 2, loved it. I was just like any other kid, just loving life, learning, playing in the playground and whatnot. Year 2, I was obviously going through some difficulties at home where I wanted to go live with my dad in South London. So year 2, I left that school, moved to South London. Was actually meant to live with my dad, but somehow ended up living with my grandma. My grandma at the time was a foster carer, lived in a massive house. She was actually fostering other kids. There was another four boys that lived with her. So I actually went to the school in her area, which was Thornton Heath, a school called Gonville. I was at that school for maybe 6 months, maybe 6-8 months. It was a good experience. Loved it, but I realised being in South London that this isn't for me. I want to be back with my mum. I want to be back with my friends in my area. And I actually wasn't really living with my dad. I was living with my nan, obviously, on a 24-hour basis, but I was only seeing my dad in certain aspects. So obviously he was out working or doing whatever he had to do. But just the whole dynamics wasn't for me. So I went back to London, still in London, but I went back to my mum's house in Harrow. Went back to the same school that I was attending before. I actually returned in year 3, and the return was great. I remember just walking into my class. No one knew I was coming back, and everyone was just like, "Wow, Armani, you're back." Stayed at Cedars for maybe from year 3 to year 5, and I think my experience from year 3 to year 5 wasn't the best. I was really up and down with my behaviour. I was quite erratic in class. Okay, let me just break it down. So in terms of actually learning, educational wise, I was okay. Like I was always willing to learn, but my behavior wasn't up to scratch. I would lose concentration in the class. I would be a bit erratic with other students. My attitude probably wasn't the best. Could have been better. Socially, I still had like loads of friends. I would say I was a popular student, but it's all good being a popular student and actually not having the other good aspects to your personality that comes with it. So that was a bit of a downhiller for me. I didn't have the best home life as well. Obviously, love my mum, I love my sisters and whatnot, but I think I was down such a downhill spiral that obviously I was dealing with social services and whatnot. And I think at that age it's quite a lot because you're going to places like CAMS, you're speaking to this person, that person, and obviously they all want to support you. The school wanted to support me. The social services wanted to support me. There was a lot that was going on, and I probably just back then I probably didn't even know what was going on. I probably just thought it was fun, probably taking time out of school. Yeah, that was my experience at that first school.
Yeah, I think even though people are trying to support you with school, with social services, with CAMS, with LAs, with all the different agencies, for a child of that age, that's a lot to take, and you still go through the emotions of that, don't you? Yeah. What sort of emotions do you remember feeling back then?
I think the emotions I personally felt is that what I was a bit triggered with is that people felt like they actually knew the ins and outs of me as a person. So like, I remember getting my diagnosis of ADHD. I don't know how they do it. Obviously, they have their own doctors and whoever, they have their own ways of doing it. But it got to the point where I was getting put on tablets, and I hated these tablets. I didn't like.
Great, stop talking. I've lost the sound, Armani. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? We've lost the sound.
Hello?
Hi, I can hear you again now. Sorry. So you were saying that you were on tablets and you didn't like taking the tablets.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of taking the tablets. I think I got put on Equism, 30 milligrams. Maybe I've had a bit of Ritalin. I'm not too sure if I was on that or not, but I remember taking 2 batches of different tablets. Yeah, wasn't the biggest fan.
What was it about the tablets that you didn't like?
Swallowed them, literally swallowed them. I thought I was probably going to choke. And I just even now, even to this day, I don't like taking tablets. When my mum or maybe my missus recommends me taking some paracetamol or something, I'm just not the biggest fan. I'll probably just try to soldier that out, but I normally end up taking them.
So is it like a sensory thing? You don't like the way it feels when you swallow them?
Yeah, 100% was a sensory thing. And one of them tasted disgusting as well. Like, I remember sometimes if I didn't, what the only alternative was opening up the capsule and sprinkling it on my food. And one of them was disgusting, or putting it in a drink. It was nasty. I didn't like it. So my mum had a bit of a problem with me taking the tablet, so she had to watch me like a hawk, or she would secretly sprinkle it on my food. But that would trigger me. Like if I noticed it was in my food, yeah, I'd be like what the hell? So that would be a problem within itself, unfortunately. And that's just me being honest.
Good. And could you tell within yourself when you'd taken the tablet compared to when you hadn't?
I mean, yeah, but I'll get into that more of at a later stage when I was at boarding school. I think that's when it really started to take its effect, because obviously I think when I was at home living with my mum, I could get away with maybe spitting it out or not taking them, or maybe challenging her not to take them. Obviously, when we get to the EBD part of the time when I'm at boarding school, it's more controlled. So yeah, Cedars, I was there from year 3 to year 5. That school clearly wasn't working out for me, so the alternative was to move to another school to see what better alternatives that I had. Went to a school called Norbury School in Harrow Hill, probably 10 minutes up the road from the school I was originally attending at. That school was all right. Got there at probably year 6. Or no, it was probably the end of year 5 actually. Stayed there till maybe year 7 or year 6. I can't really remember. Yeah, that school was alright, but I would say I probably behaviour wise probably got worse. Probably became a bit more erratic, more angrier. Probably needed more support, which I did get support, to be fair. It just got to the point that I was getting taken out of school. I was going to other little services that obviously would try to benefit me. Nothing was clearly working, unfortunately. Now looking back at it, but I can't really blame anyone else for that other than myself, because
well, you had ADHD. Don't be hard on yourself.
Maybe it was the ADHD, maybe it was me. I don't know. And obviously, again, I've been diagnosed with this condition.
Yeah, you had lots of things going on, Armani. On one hand, you've got your ADHD, you had your problems at home, you'd been moving around a lot as well, so the stability was kind of a little bit up in the air. You'd gone from one school to another. You had loads of outside agencies involved. There were lots and lots of things going on. You were so young.
Yeah, and I do think when they say that obviously when a father doesn't obviously live at home, I think that did definitely take effect with me, because obviously growing up and obviously you have your friends and you see their happy families, mum, dad, all in the same house. Like I think that would have benefited me a lot, because when my dad spoke to me back then, I would listen. Like I would get into line. But yeah, it wasn't working. So obviously the local authorities got involved with me while I was at Milbury. They wanted to see what the next step was for me. They reckoned my mum with some emotional behavioural difficulty schools. We viewed a boarding school, or some sort of boarding school in Earls Court, London, Paddington, around that area. We went to the school, visited it. It wasn't really for me. There was obviously cages on the wall and whatnot. Like the whole. Say that again.
Cages.
Yeah, there was just like barriers on the windows and stuff. It just didn't look presentable. Like when my mum went there, she was asking, "Why is there cages on the wall?" Like it was like a massive block of houses. Like there was no field or anything. There was no there didn't there was any freedom in there. There was like a room where if you was too erratic or too angry, they would put you in this room, close the door for a little bit to make you calm down. My mum wasn't really a big fan of that. So we left there. We looked at the next destination, and luckily that next destination was Wales Lodge at the time.
Bit of a different senorio at Wales
Yeah,
Lodge.
it was a completely different scenario. Because one, it wasn't in London, and two, it was just going to be a new journey, innit? Like it was a bit far away, but it was worth it. Obviously, the woman that was the woman from the local authorities did explain to us that, look, it's a new school. I don't know if they may have had their Ofsted rating at the time, but it was rated really good at the time. So me and my mum went.
So you went to Wales. Did you start at Wales were you one of the first cohorts then? Because that was before even my time there.
Nah, I started Wales a year after it opened. I came to Wales in
second year.
2008. I visited the school in January. I got there. I loved it. Played with all the kids. Played football. They all loved me, and it was just like I was just in love. Like it was good. It was amazing. Like just going there, seeing all the kids happy, just running around. So yeah, visited Wales in January.
Hang on a sec, Armani. For context, Wales Lodge was a therapeutic SEMH school based in the countryside. So it wasn't cages on walls and padded cells, but it was a far cry away from that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely was. So yeah, actually, in February is when I actually came to Wales as a student. It was different. It was definitely different, because I think when I got there, it was just like, cool, I'm gonna be living at this school. In my head, I thought I was coming home every weekend, and I actually wasn't. So for the first probably 3-6 months, maybe to a year, I was really homesick, because I was seeing other kids going home every weekend, and I was coming home every other weekend. So I was thinking, what did my mum sign off? What does she sign off? Like I was thinking, what's going on? So that was quite hard to take in. Obviously, I had to get over myself in the end, which I did. But
that was hard though. You were so young, and when you're a child as well, you can't always see everything that's going on, especially if there were issues at home. You know, there might have been things that you didn't know about, where there were reasons why you couldn't perhaps go home every weekend and things like that.
And
but
obviously, as well, you saying that as well, like you back then as a kid, you probably didn't get the answers that you wanted to get of why you are not going home. That staff member might have told you something else. So I wasn't happy for the first couple of months. I wasn't happy, and there were some days that I were happy, but when it came to Friday and everyone else going home, I was gutted because I didn't want to be there. I wanted to go home with my family, my friends, and have that experience, and I didn't get that straight away. So, yeah, and I'm probably still salty about it now.
Well, you got there in the end, Armani. It's okay. They did eventually start doing weekends with you, didn't they? When I met you, you were going home at the weekend, so that obviously works itself out. The experiences at Wells Lodge, I think, they weren't all. It's not like a mainstream school in that they do make you kind of look inside yourself as well. So there's a lot of personal development stuff that goes on. Do you feel as though it helped you sort of socially and emotionally as well as sort of?
Yeah, well, it was, as I said, it was different from a mainstream school because obviously as I got there, it's boarding, it's meeting all these different kids from all around the country, different accents, different backgrounds, as well, dealing with people with different disorders as well. So obviously people have autism, dyslexia, Asperger's. They all go through different things. So as now, as a 27-year-old man, when I do see people with their own disabilities, I can relate. May not be able to relate to me on my condition, but I can relate to what they're going through. You got to give these people some time. Sometimes they might not react to you in the way that you want them to react to you, but you just got to give them time. Everyone grows up different. Everyone's got a different background. You know, you can't judge it. You can't judge anyone. That's how I do it. Don't judge a book by its cover. So yeah, as I said, it was just different. Sleeping with these people. Again, back to the tablet things now. This is where it's a bit more controlled now. I'm taking tablets that obviously I don't enjoy taking them, but because I'm at school, I'm dealing with staff members. These people are watching you like a hawk. Like, you've got to take this medication. In their head, you take this medication, you'll be okay. But it wasn't really like that. When I was taking this medication, I didn't actually like it because what it would do when it got to around lunchtime, 12:30, I was dull. Like I was. If anything, I was a shadow of myself. My appetite would go. I just didn't feel good. But they didn't understand that. I felt like the school just giving this report. If he takes this, blah 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 blah, would probably happen. But I didn't feel like that. I felt crap. Excuse my French.
It's really interesting about the tablets. I've heard this from quite a few students that had tablets for ADHD. And whilst, yes, it would, help them to calm and sort of help focus and stuff, that's the alternative side, isn't it? Where you do feel like a bit of a zombie and you don't want to eat.
Yeah, I was a zombie. Definitely.
Say that again?
I definitely was a zombie.
Yeah. So do you still take tablets now, or is that phase of your...
No, not anymore. I actually came off the tablets when I was in the school because I think it got to the point where I think certain staff members actually took me to one side and said to me, "Look, you probably are right. They are not working for you." And there was funny. I think there was a staff member, I'm not going to mention their name on here, but she was the only person I felt like that saw the difference with me. She knew when I didn't take my tablets because she would actually see me eating at lunchtime, and I was happy. I loved playing football. I was more happy. And obviously, again, when I was on the tablets, I was just dull. I was just, I don't know. I was just a zombie of myself. I was a shadow of myself. So, yeah.
I'm pleased that we got to a point with you where we could bring you off them and you were able to cope. It shows that even within Wells Lodge, even though you were going through the emotions of it at the time, there was progress being made and you were learning coping strategies with, the focus. I can relate to your ADHD. I've never told you this, Armani, but I've got ADHD too.
Okay.
So I get it. The focusing and the voices and everything else. Okay, so let's talk about sort of towards the end of Wells Lodge. Now, obviously, as I remember you had some brilliant relationships with staff. You had great relationships with some of the other students. And I'd seen you transition, from this behavior child who really struggled, with sort of managing regulating yourself to actually, I did see you achieve, you know, and flourish, I suppose, towards the end of your time at the school.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what what did you come out of Wales Lodge with? I'm not just talking about qualifications and things. I'm asking you about inside yourself. Did you feel like you were ready to face the world? Did you feel like you could cope with your emotions, your feelings, your anger, the anger that you say you felt you had?
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I would say that I was ready to face the world. They kind of, I think what Wales Lodge do when you get to maybe the end of year 9, year 10, they obviously set you up on work experience. They get you into that process of having that bit of independence for yourself. So obviously towards the last maybe 2 years, 1 year and a half, I remember going on a work experience with Rutland Water. So that was fun. So throughout the week, I'd obviously have my normal education week. Maybe that one Monday or Tuesday, that whole day, they would send me out to Rutland Water where I'd have a day of working. So that was fun, taking me out of school, interacting with actually adults, learning new things away from the school. As well, leaving the school now, they're obviously setting you up for college, traveling as well. That was another big thing for me as well. They allowed independence in terms of me going home. So on a Friday, normally they'll get my taxi ride home, but coming back, they'll let me come back on a Monday. They'll pay for my train ticket, and I'll travel from King's Cross to Stamford. So that was fun. I could obviously do that on my own.
Listen, from now on, everything that you say to me, I don't want you to say what Wales Lodge did. I want you to tell me what you did, because you got on a train all by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sorry, I would say yeah, it is me. But obviously, Wilds put this.
We just facilitated. We facilitated for
yeah,
you.
It was facilitated. My bad. Yeah, it was me that obviously got on this train. I would say that before they did do all of this, I was independent anyway. But yeah I was always willing to do stuff like this. I was excited to go to college as well. They didn't have the post-16 at the time, so.
Yeah, it started, I think, a year or two after you.
Yeah, that was probably, I wouldn't say it was unfortunate for me because I wasn't too fussed about it, but
no, I think you were ready to go when you went.
I was ready to go. Went to a college called Stanmore, where I studied level 2 business and level 3. I loved it. I actually saw some of my friends that I grew up with previously in my primary school. Level 2 business was a blast. Got a distinction first year. Enjoyed every bit of it. Level 3 was a bit more challenging. I was probably willing to learn, but I didn't really get on with my teacher. Wasn't a big fan of him. Don't think he really understood me. Don't really think he gave me the chance to explain who I actually was. So that was very challenging. Probably did 15 months study towards my level 3, and then I called it quits. And then I went to start working. Started working when I was maybe 17, going on 18. Worked in Sports Direct for maybe 3 or 4 months. Wasn't for me. I was on the bare minimum wage. Didn't like it, so I left there. Obviously at the time, I was actually looking for the next job, and I got Tesco's when I was maybe 18. That was fun. Worked in Tesco's for just over 6 months, I would say. And that was an experience. And then I came across another opportunity now, because obviously I'm a people person. So obviously, again, always wanted to study business, always wanted to be around people. I got into sales and marketing, and that was different. But career-wise, it wasn't for me, because one, it was 100% commission, and I felt like I slipped into a pyramid scheme. I wouldn't call it a pyramid scheme, but it just, something wasn't right with the job. But it did teach me a lot. It did teach me a lot of how to interact with people, how to negotiate, how to upsell, how to downsell. So that was a fun experience. But what did I do after that? I can't actually remember what I did after that.
You've been working since in one or another, haven't you?
Yeah, I literally was working after I left Wild, to be honest.
That's fine. You know what I see, Armani, right? From my perspective, obviously, I haven't spoken to you for 5, 6, no, probably about 10 years now since you left Wilds.
I think I've seen you once or twice though, when I came back and visited.
Oh, for sports
came up with Ethan. Came up with Ethan one time actually. I saw you.
Oh yeah, I do remember. Yeah. On a sports day. So it's been a long time. It's been like a decade, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So from my perspective, obviously I'd seen the progress that you'd made while you were at Wales Lodge. But since then, what I see right now is, you're a mature adult. You have worked your way through the qualifications and things that you wanted, and you've coped with that. You've been really independent, and you've put yourself through whatever those those college courses were. Obviously, they were mainstream, so that not having those relationships with the adults like you used to have at Wales with us, that was a big change for you, because all of a sudden you're back in mainstream again. You're just a student, aren't you? The teacher's a teacher and you're the student, and you just do it told. But you've coped, you've gone back into that system, you've coped well, you've put yourself through, you've managed to get yourself a job, and then decide that you don't like it, and then get another one, and then decide that you don't like it, and then go through that process. It takes so many skills for you to even get to that stage, which you might not even see yet. You will do when you're perhaps a little bit more older. But I'm so proud of you in that you're a dad as well, and you've moved house. I assume to be near your girls.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing this focused man, with ambition, holding down these jobs. And I think you've done extremely well. And that's not even talking about how you've learned to cope with your ADHD and your other issues that you've got going on or have had over the years going on at home. So I'm very, very proud of you.
I do appreciate that, Rana. Thank you.
I think it's been absolutely amazing just listening to your journey and just talking about your experiences a little bit and seeing where you're at now.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Yeah, the journey's been up and down. Like it's just, I just thought to myself, you see, when I left school, just always be doing something. Never ever put myself to one side. Never just be sitting on the bench. Just always make sure I'm doing something, because when you sit on the bench for too long, you expire, innit? And you don't want to. That's the best
Don't
way.
Expire. You've done really well, Armani. It's wonderful. It's so nice to see sort of 10 years later as well that you're still on a path, on a good path, and I'm sure that you'll just from watching this video, there are lots of families and children who you will inspire who are now where you once were and wondering if there is any light at the end of the tunnel.
There's always that at the end of the tunnel. You just got to try, put in the hard work. If you need support, there is support out there for you. And yeah, just keep your chin up, really, to be honest.
That's pretty nice. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem.
And maybe we'll catch up again in another 10 years and see where you're at then.
Maybe so.
Right. Well, thank you so much to those of you who are watching, and thank you again once to Armani for coming on and taking this talk. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.